Hello, welcome to Sunday League Virtual Season 3, Round 6. This is the Italian Grand Prix, hosted at the wonderful Mugello circuit. All of its twists and turns produce some amazing racing for us last time around, and we're going to hope for some brilliant action here today. I am your commentator, Skip, as per usual, and this is the qualifying session. We're just following on board with Rito at this very moment. So it's been an interesting series of events. Let's take a look first at the car upgrades and how the teams are doing. Lots of upgrades, double upgrades for BFX, PRG, FVR and FUR, who get their first speed upgrade in their Sunday League Virtual tenure. Also upgrades for BAV, THX and SFR, all of which were speed upgrades. VLO and KRT failed both upgrades, and WTech failed to officially submit any. Obviously, you have the constructors sitting right up there above. BAV absolutely dominating the way, more points than second and third place combined. Not many tokens left for them though. WTech will be a team to watch on the rise, but they need to get their car back into shape because they're starting to slip into the pack of sort of more midfield mediocrity with only a 3.8 index score at the moment. That's put them right back down into the beaten pack, so to speak. So should be interesting to see how they can deal with that. Into the qualifying session here. Let's have a look at how our drivers have done. How will the starting grid be for the Italian Grand Prix? Goose takes pole in the FVR by 3.5 tenths. That's an outstanding qualifying performance from him. He's managed nearly a flat 30-second lap, and that might be Flying V Racing's first pole position, certainly that I can remember. First in a very long time, if not probably since Season 1. Jurist lines up on the front row. What a shot qualifying there. Hetmenica, third place. Bluebell in fourth, and it's Rito and Julo and Jake. Anti, then Sobel and Pit Crew starting in 10th. But what a fantastic qualifying from the Canadian. He's put his car on pole at the Mugello circuit. Kubo ahead of the WTechs of Andrews and Spuda. Then Girouni and Ikolowski, Grandi, Apley, Kamikaze, Vladinator quite far down, and Hernandi. We'll take a look at the tokens spent this race. That's what we're all asking for, isn't it? So, Rito spending 2 tokens. He'll have 6 left after today. Sobel has none left to spend. Both him and Jake ran out after last race. They have 7 long races to endure without any tokens to spend whatsoever. None for him today, obviously. Kubo not spending any either, so he won't be too displeased with his qualifying position, even though not great 11th place. Bluebell, his teammate, starting 4th position, has spent 3 tokens today, so he'll be hoping to potentially, I think he'll be pretty much hoping to challenge for a podium. None for the WTechs, who start 12th and 13th. None for the KRTs, who start even lower than that in 17th and dead last. And then we also have none for Jake, obviously. 2 for Jurist, who'll be starting up the order. He's on the front row of the grid. It is 2 for Hetmenica as well. He'll start from a very lovely 3rd place. Great quali for Porsche, 3rd and 6th, and that's on the back of their double upgrade coming into this round. None for Grandi with 2 for Pit Crew. He'll start in 10th place, which is not ideal, but not terrible considering their car is not the fastest on the grid. None for Vladinator, that explains his very low start. And 3 for Anti, only in 8th place, so not a great indication for SFR. And they are very nearly out of tokens after this race. Just 2 to spend in the second half of the season. 4 for Goose, which would explain that quali lap. That was unbelievable from him. None for Jeru, who will be starting in a more normalised position of 14th. And then it's none for Kamikaze. And 3 for Ikolowski, who managed to put it 15th place. If he can finish 12th, Fuerza Roja move up into 9th place in the Constructors' Championship, ahead of KRT, who currently hold the tiebreak of a better finish with 13th place in the South African and Hungarian Grand Prix. that is all. We'll have a quick look at the standings. Jake leads the way on 108 points. Sobel and Eurus tied for second. The BAVs looking very strong in recent races, allowing Eurus to catch right up to the back of Sobel. And unlike the drivers ahead of him, he's not quite done with his tokens just yet. Way back, we have Julo less than half, or just about half the points of the second and third drivers. Andries behind him and Spuda, the WTEC, then the SFR's 7th and 8th in the drivers' standings. Hetmenica, Kubo and Bluebell Boy, Team Velocity, not quite the start they wanted so far, but they're building momentum definitely, and they just unfortunately didn't get that any upgrades this week, which was a pretty big blow for them. Rito also underperforming relative to his form, but I think he's left Sobel to do the work in the early season so he can come in and sweep up the remains later on. Goose looking for big points today. Grandy and Jaruni, then Pit Crew, with only 4 points to his name, and neither for any KRT or FUR. In the constructors, you can clearly see that ThunderX still pretty much struggling. FVR, then Velocity, fair gap ahead, but still down in 6th place. Last race, Porsche moved past SFR with their podium at the hands of Julo. Good drive from him. WTEC a little bit ahead of him, and then a leap up to BFX, and a bigger leap up to our championship leaders. That's all. Let's get into some racing action. We're underway here in Mugello. Starting on the hards are both at the front two. Eurus up the inside into the first corner. Goose sticks it in round the outside. Bluebell battling Hetmenica for third. Can he take it off him? Just nearly. Rito coming through on the mediums is going to look to make up some positions here. He gets stuck behind Bluebell. Het can dance around the outside. Can he go into the chicane? They're nearly 4 abreast going into it. This is for third place. But Rito, with a really good start, has gotten himself up into third. Drops back a little bit though under pressure from Antti and Eurus, who's back into second. Het up into second now. Antti, with an incredible start from down in 9th on the grid, has made up 6 positions on lap 1. Bluebell right behind him as well, looking at a big charge here. Antti is in second position now, hunting down Goose, his old buddy, for first place if he can manage it. Bluebell just drops back a little bit from Hetmenica. We've got a pack here forming. It's the front 5 cars, front 6 cars, all in somewhat of a train, with Goose trying to break away at the front. Antti gets a poor exit. Bluebell up the inside, gets a double overtake, breaks very late into that corner, but he does pull off the move. Antti gets through on Hetmenica. Rito looks to have a go here. Can he get through? Het is on the mediums. Rito muscles his way past, and that is a very nice overtake from the pole. Goose still leads. Rito still putting pressure on, and that corner can be so deadly if you get caught on the outside on tyres that didn't even remotely worn, or in SFR's in PRG's case rather, a car that has pretty good grip but not perfect by any means can be really badly punished at that corner. Eurus up the inside. Het is just being mugged by these cars, constantly going up his inside. Meanwhile, Bluebell has taken the lead off Goose. The tyre advantage, they're looking to make the most of that at the beginning. Goose uses a little bit of boost here and there, just tries to hold the outside for this corner. Nearly digs Bluebell a sandcastle there, but he just about stays all together with it. Can he make a move into the final corner? Yes, he can. That's not a heavy braking zone, but Goose had all the bravery and all the traction crucially needed to just send one up the inside there. Rito through on Het, who is still fighting here and looks to get back at him through the first sector. Does just that, and he's looking to go after Eurus now. Eurus on the hards, Het on the mediums in the Porsche around the outside. Really the long way by all means of the word, but he pushes Eurus wide. He's going to get a court case after this one. Does get a penalty, very much deserved, and quite a few cars, Kubo, Pit Crew and Jake for the time being, all got through. The battle for the lead is still going on. Looks like Bluebell has just blasted his way through, but those mediums are starting to go off. In just a couple laps it will be the switch over. The hards will be the faster tyre, and the medium runners will start to come piling into the pit lane. Goose just holding station second. It's Antti in third with a ridiculously good start, and Rito fourth place, looking for his first major points of the season. Well, sort of really. Hetmenica and then Kubo, Pit Crew and Eurus all fighting behind as well. Really interesting to see. Oh, we've got a car in the pit lane. That is Pit Crew. That is a scheduled stop, I believe, but he is the first runner into the pits on just lap 6. Vladinator will follow him through. as it was in the top 4 pretty much. Jurist and Kubo now going at it. Let's see who can get the better run here. Kubo looks to maybe take the outside, goes for the inside instead. He needs to get this move done before the corner, and that's what happens if you don't. That corner is a death trap, but that is what's produced such great racing at Mugello in previous seasons, or in the previous season that it's been in Sunday League Virtual, that it's such a high risk, high reward track. You can really try and throw a move anywhere, but if that move doesn't work, you've got a big fat gravel trap waiting for you right on the outside of that corner. Yeah, stationary in the top 5, 6, 7, 8 is Hetmenica, looking to go after Sobel. He's not stopped just yet, but he's had a poor start, lost 5 places off it, and goes really deep and nearly gets caught by his teammate Het, spending a lot of Toka State, and goes deep again. The grip on the PRG is something they have been investing in, but it's not quite good enough just yet. Anti is in 2nd place. Bluebell has come into the pit lane. Goose is taking it long on those hards, and Anti just overcutting his fellow medium runner. This could end in disaster. They need to keep it clean, but Anti doesn't, and Goose gets a penalty. Can Rito come storming through here? This is hugely beneficial for him and for Bluebell, remember, who has come into the pit lane. And when cars get together at that corner, you're only asking for trouble. Anti looked like he almost might have wanted to pit there, but decided to stay out, with Goose being right on his outside at that final corner. Anti keeps it clean, Rito doesn't. Jurist is still in 4th place. Bluebell on his very fresh tyres. No doubt his teammate Kubo stood aside and held the door open for him when he came out behind his teammate. Rito still in 3rd position. Lot of risk here, and these worn tyres are not operating at all well. Anti's still not in on the mediums. That is a 3-lap overcut on Bluebell, who admittedly came in quite early, or 2 or 3 laps, yeah, came in quite early, lap 7 or lap 8 on those mediums, but Anti still continuing to stay out is pretty baffling, actually. He's battling Rito at the moment. Rito goes deep, which means that Anti actually gets away from that corner scot-free. Rito screwed up the first part of the chicane, meaning he didn't have to Anti didn't have to worry himself about the second part. He lunges into that wall, as they all do coming into the pits here. Rito takes that first box, Anti down in that 8th one, and Anti will slide out, still just ahead of the Polish driver. Bluebell has, as expected, majorly undercut the both of them, and he just needs to weed his way through some lapped cars here. Hernandi causing him a couple issues. Bluebell actually probably had to stomp on the brakes into that corner to not get completely swept off his feet by Hernandi. But Goose still in control of this race on lap 12. He comes into the pit lane. Will we see Jurist do the same? He's running in 2nd position, and he does as well. Where will Bluebell be? He coasts past Jurist on the pit entry, and that undercut has worked to perfection as he gets through into 1st place. He does have that time gap, but remember, he does have significantly older tyres too. Goose looking to sort of balance out the strategy, which is really interesting. He's on the mediums now, so even though his tyres are much fresher, they will wear faster than Bluebell's hards. We'll have to see how that works strategically, and of course how rain can influence it. Bluebell holds the upper hand here, being in the lead of the race, which is always the great position to be in. If it does start to sprinkle down, you know that everyone has to dive into the pits. You keep that track position. It's the effective equivalent of a safety car or a VSC being called, because it's a pretty much forced pit stop for everyone, which completely wipes out strategy for the time being. But of course it rebuilds after that, and you get some excitement as the new tyres go on. Anti still in 3rd, Rito still in 4th. This has been the battle that we've seen earlier on. Rito's dropped back, particularly after that failed overtake coming up into the chicane in the 3rd sector. Jurist looking to hunt down Rito now. If he can try and make a pass, he's not quite close enough. He just lost a couple tenths going down that straight, no doubt due to the strong boost on that BFX car. But he does close up through the 1st sector, closing still. Will he try the outside? Will he try the inside? Rito's hugging the inside, not quite enough. Will Jurist send it? No, he won't. He thinks the better of it just as they approach that corner, and that probably was the right move to take in the end. But That was a very, very nervy one. Could have easily gone wrong. The front three are all here, and they're all fighting, and Goose is in the lead. Still, Bluebell has dropped way back on those hards. Maybe they really are a slow tyre, or maybe he had some serious difficulty, because that was a pretty comfortable gap that has very, very quickly disappeared. This is the fight for the lead. This is Bluebell making a mistake and just has to tap down on that brake pedal to knock off the track. Eurus has a chance up the inside, into the chicane, into the final corner. Can he stick it around? No, he can't. Anti will try to do just that, and Rito is still here. Our front five pack is all together once again. Anti closest to Eurus at the moment. This is the biggest chance of a move, but Eurus closing up to Bluebell on the hards, who's a bit of a cork in the bottle at the moment. Can he go up the inside into the chicane? Will he go for the outside instead? Bluebell goes wide. Eurus goes to the inside. That's not helped his cause at all, and he's lost all these positions apart from Rito, who slammed right into the back of his car. This has all allowed Goose to get away, so that strategy has somehow prevailed. I think Bluebell's massive undercut didn't help him out at all with tyre wear. Still at the inside, tries to defend it into the first corner. Eurus has a half look up the inside of the both of them as he goes to the outside of Anti now. Can he get through? We've got a couple lap cars in the way, Andries being one of them. Eurus needs to feed through in the car of his predecessor. Andries, the car he's lapping right now. Bluebell, though, still in second. Eurus still in third. Then it's Anti and Rito pit crew a while behind them. Can Eurus move himself up into second place? Goose is, remember, not completely out of the picture here, but the overcut, the long stint on the hards to begin with, looks like it's worked out pretty much a treat, despite the fact that he did have some difficulties with battling with penalties towards the end of that first stint. It's still not too bad. At the moment, Rito right behind Anti up into the hairpin. Can't quite make anything of it just yet. If he gets a good run, he can go up the inside into the final corner. Nearly forces Anti wide there. Takes all of the track going through that last corner. Takes all of the possible grip he can get. But he absolutely coasts through. And he is flying at the moment. He just needs to put down the power and absolutely send it after Eurus and Bluebell, who are still fighting over second place here. Eurus up the inside, Bluebell to the outside. This can't end well for the both of them. It doesn't. They both make mistakes. Rito's right onto the back of them, and any battle that ends up in that chicane, as we've seen there, can honestly end badly for the both of them. Eurus just about swipes in front of Bluebell, who is finally into the pit lane once more. Eurus holds de facto second place at the moment. This has allowed Goose to get away. His pace with 4 tokens a day is really, really strong. Sometimes just dumping them in and hoping for the best can be a beneficial strategy, much as teams like to go for 1, most commonly 2, sometimes 3 tokens for their drivers. It can really be any combination that gets you the success. Goose is in the pit lane at the moment. Eurus is in first place. Rito's also come in. He's put on the soft compound tyre, which is quite interesting. This is going to be an attempt at a charge for him at this middle portion of the race, nearly halfway through this Grand Prix. Bluebell just getting through some lapped cars. Hernandi, who looks like he's been lapped about 17 times by now. It's not a great showing from him so far. We'll have to see what's up with that. I think he's just going slowly, to be totally honest. Yeah, he's not got the grip to do anything there. His teammate is a lap ahead of him at the current moment. Bluebell chasing down Goose. Bluebell on the mediums. Goose is on the mediums as well. Bluebells are just a lap older, so the strategy really did balance itself out. They've now got a clean slate with Goose having the slight upper hand. Has Andy come in? He has. Thought I saw some kerfuffle in the pit lane. Might not have been. Eurus still leads the way. It's Anti, then it's Goose, and Bluebell still fighting. Can Bluebell get a good run through here? He's close, he's close, he's closing. Tries to use as much of the track as he can, but that's a long way to go into the pit lane. Into the main straight. Taking all the track on that final corner, so if you've not got the overtake done there, you can lose a bit of time. He did do that. Oh, very risky through that chicane. It looks like he just got a big wash of dirty air and completely lost control of the cars. That is really not great for him, but he has closed up to the back of Goose once more. The pace of that VLO is flying at the moment. He goes all the way around the outside at the hairpin in the third sector. Can he keep it to the final corner? Can Goose come back at him? No, he can't, and that is one of the overtakes of the race so far by Bluebell. He sent it so deep into that hairpin, but he just got the traction down on the exit, and he managed to slide his way past the Canadian. Bluebell takes the race lead. Can he take his second career win? Obviously, victory and a 1-2 for his old team and the team that he owns, BFX, in Interlagos, to finish off a double title winning season. He's taken on a new challenge this time, signing for rivals VLO, which certain members of the VLO team don't appear to be too happy about, but he has done outstandingly so far this race, less so this season, but he needs to hold on to the lead here, and Goose is going to make that as difficult as he can. He goes to the outside, coming up towards the chicane section, gets the move done before they enter the corner, but he still screws the line, and that is really, really bad to see for Goose, because he looked like he'd had the move done there, and it just wasn't to be. Rito on those softs has really made the most of them. He's put his way past Urist and Anti up from 5th place to 3rd, but it'll be into the pit lane pretty soon with those softs starting to go. The mediums very much the same. Still a 5-car pack separated by about 4 seconds, so not a whole lot between them, but nobody in very close contact at the moment, apart from Rito and Urist, who are going at it here. Urist looking to have a go at Rito, whose softs are going off. Urist mediums are in significantly better condition. Urist teammate Jake Brad, a multiple-time race winner this season already, as Urist was at the Hungaroring, his second win there, winning in Season 1, his only win on his way to his championship. Rito, another champion, so we've got the 2 SLV champions scrapping it out over 3rd place in this Grand Prix, and Rito, gets the move back done on Urist after Urist is slightly compromised on the apex there. Looks like it was by Sobel, which is really interesting to see. Rito coming up to lap Hernandi once more. Incredible to see Hernandi, who finished 2nd here just 1 season ago, in a KRT that is so much slower, with them just failing to adapt to the new regulations. Bluebell and Goose still going at it, still on the same tyres. Goose still a lap fresh on those. Bluebell cuts the gravel slightly. Goose goes well off into it and looks like he's lost that again. He just can't get his moves done, but he's so close every time he comes in, and Bluebell darts into the pit lane now. Urist takes 2nd place, and it's 3rd for Bluebell still as Rito comes in, slightly blocks off Jake. A little bit of grinding there, and it is Anti up in 3rd on his hards, which he's still got a good while left to go on. Goose, Urist, Anti, Bluebell, Rito, and then it's Pit Crew and Hetmenica, Kubo, and Ikoloski running in the points at the moment. That's not even something that I'd spotted. Unbelievable. It's maybe just the speed and grip upgrades that they've got this week, but whatever it is absolutely working, because this could be Fuerza Roja's first ever points in Sunday League Virtual. EK on 3 tokens today, nearly the maximum he could spend, and this is only the 2nd time this season that they've actually spent tokens, so interesting to see. Last time either Fuerza Roja or KRT spent, they'd always find themselves 13th, 14th, 15th, not terrible in terms of performance, but not in the points. And seeing EK in 7th place at the moment is incredible for the Fuerza Roja team. They will be absolutely elated if he can get points here in the final race before the mid-season break, and we have 14 days of no SLV. I know, it's really sad. Well, it's more like sort of 12, and then we have practice for round 7, which is at Zamosk, the first time we're ever racing at Zamosk, so don't miss that. Anti, meanwhile, has closed up right to the back of Urist on those hards. Urist still out there on the mediums, which were in pretty fresh condition at one point, not so much anymore. Anti goes to the outside at turn 1 and can take that nice easy camber on the outside, finds the grip and finds his way past the Portuguese man. Bluebell and Goose can't be separated. They've both come into the pit lane, and they are both still fighting, still on the same tyre, and Goose manages a spectacular overtake there. Bluebell won't have much of a chance back. Looks like Urist might have gone deep into that chicane. Looks like neither of these guys should. And it's once again Bluebell with that pit just a lap earlier. Goose with those tyres just 30 seconds fresher. And that makes all the difference. Urist pits, Goose, Bluebell, Rito will pass him. This is The front five, as it always has been, our 6th place runner for the moment is Kubo. 7th place is the Fuerza Roja, Ikolowski pit crew right next to him, I was about to say behind him, not so much anymore, gets through on him, and EK will be in pretty soon from the hards for maybe one final stint on the soft compound tyre, depending on when he pits. Talking of pitting, Anti in at the moment, and Goose will go back through. I couldn't tell you who's going to get a podium here. It looks like Goose and Bluebell are pretty strong. Rita going through as well, but Urist will be out of the pit lane right behind, or not even right behind, a fair amount behind Anti. These front five, though, have given us a fantastic race of constant battling, constant overtakes and fighting, and quite a lot of calamity coming into this particular corner. As we see Hernandi probably forced off by Jiruni there as well. And Bluebell closing in once again. I could not tell you who's going to win this race, but what I could predict is that they'll all go for one final throw of the dice on the softs at the very end. We've not had any rain so far. There is rain on, but it's not here, and Komi has gotten right in Bluebell's way. He'll be very happy with his team at running in the points at the moment, but that's looking like quite a spiteful budge to push him right out the way, and Rito gets that corner all mixed up and badly wrong and falls back further there, and that allows Goose to get away, but Kubo's going to cause him some issues, and hopefully so for his teammate, who is closing in 8/10 behind, and Rito is in for his final stop of the race. He puts on the mediums. He's going to try and take those 11 laps to the end. That's a bold move. Let's see if it pays off. Kubo needs to get out of the way of his teammate. He's not running in a major position. Well, actually, no, he probably is. He's running in 9th place, which is a good couple points. Bluebell somehow gets through a massive pack of cars into that corner cleanly. Not clean enough for Anti to have not gained much time, because he's right behind Bluebell. SFR have not scored a podium in Season 3. They didn't score a podium in Season 2. Can Anti make it P2? The Finnish driver is so desperate to get in probably the final major points for the SFR team, at least second to last likely as well, with only 2 tokens left after this race. Looks like Apley's had a problem there. Goose goes through, and Goose is still looking in very good control of this race. Bluebell, then Urist has dropped well off the pace. We'll have a look quickly at the tyres. Goose is on hards that will need to be changed in a couple laps time. He might be best coming in about a lap and putting on some softs. That's personally what I do, or 2 laps time. Probably the best move, because look how fast Anti is on them. He's starting to close little by little up through the long sweeping right hand straight. Close and close through the corners. He's just got the superior grip at the moment. Can he close right up to the back of Goose, all the way around the outside? He's going to try. He gets a really good run down the main straight, gets through on the inside into turn 1, and Anti takes the lead of the race. Goose fights him back for it and does get the move back done. Anti makes a mistake, and what looked like it could have been a win for Anti, lying in the palm of his hand, has gone down the drain somewhat. That mistake, and allowing Bluebell back past, and it's again Bluebell again makes that error, so he has still kept track position over the Team Velocity car, much less so over the FVR, who's now got a 2.5 second gap. Anti looking for his second career win, his first coming in the Season 1 finale at Kyalami. That was the very race where the second placed car won the championship. That was Urist. He stole it off Rito, who's running in 4th. It's a big reunion, and Goose was also somewhere as well, I guess. But Anti, Urist and Rito all fighting for the podium. Rito is well back. Urist has fallen off the back of Anti, who has made really good progress, but surely they'll need to come in. We saw last time Hernandi pitted, fighting for the lead, pitted with just 2 laps to go. So we'll need to see some cars in, and Anti has timed that stop really nicely. He's got 5 or 6 laps left on these tyres, but he's got Bluebell and Rito right behind him. He just needs to get through cleanly on them, and he absolutely does that, and that puts him in a fantastic position to take the win here. This is the undercut that he's tried to do on Goose here. He's still in 3rd place. He's got a fresh, clear track ahead of him. Goose is into the pits. He was 2 seconds behind when they were fighting on track. He came in for a stop. Has he managed to get that undercut done on Goose? There'll be nip and tuck on the exit. Anti has the speed advantage down the straight, dives into turn 1 at the inside, but Goose still fights it, and he does have a lap fresher softs to still compete with. Don't count out Eurus, he is in the race lead, but he does have very, very worn tyres, and Hetmenica for the second time this race shoves him right off into the gravel. Goose comes through, so does Anti. Eurus falls down to third. This will probably be quite a bit lower than that, but Anti's still going at Goose. Can he try for a second lap running up the inside into turn 1? Decides not to go for a move this time. Goose gets compromised by Hetmenica on the exit though, and again into the next chicane. Anti goes slightly deep, has to stop the brakes, but he goes up the inside nearly. He's going to go to the outside, wiggles it through that long straight. Can they get through cleanly? Yes, they can. They've still got the tyre grip, and they've still got the will and determination, and for the first time properly this season, or at least for the first time in a fair few races, we have a proper fight on our hands for the race lead coming into the very, very last laps. Anti slightly drops back there though. He's just gotten all twisted up in knots, the wrong racing lines, and he's now got 3 lapped cars in between himself and Goose. Breezes through Hetmenica and Kamikaze. Het running in 8th at the moment, a lap up from Komi, but Komi's going to look to hold him up with his teammate Ikolowski trying to have a fair go at the points, not too far behind Het. Goose comes on to start the penultimate lap of the Italian Grand Prix in Tuscany. Anti right behind. Still, he's got a second and a half to make up. Bluebell has slightly older softs, but a very, very strong bit of pace at the moment, and he muscles his way up into second place, and that is pretty much against the odds because Anti was looking so strong for the race lead, just got it a bit wrong. Now might we have a 3-way fight if they can finally find some pace into the final lap. If Goose gets it wrong, but he's looking pretty peachy just at the moment. He's in first place. He's got his teammate Linus Stern with him through turn 1. Jeru doesn't give him all that much difficulty. Bluebell probably forced wide there, suddenly didn't have the grip to stick that corner in to turn 2, nor did Rito, with Eurus closing up behind him, but Goose still leads us away, keeps it clean through the deadly chicane. Bluebell and Anti chasing, but they've thrown so much at him in this race, and Goose has held strong, and he will come across the line, and he'll win the Italian Grand Prix. Anti takes second place, and it's third for Bluebell. Fourth place is Eurus as he sets his fastest lap there, but Goose has the fastest of the race. Pit Crew looks to take 6th place here. Hetmenica is well behind in 7th. He might have taken a late stop. It's a fantastic win for Goose and FVR, and they've held on to take it really, really nicely there under a lot of pressure from other cars. Pit Crew sort of being a bit bullied on his way home, but don't sneer at this because that is a huge haul of points for a Thunder X team who are struggling somewhat. Hetmenica in 7th place, well back, but the big story in the lower order, Ikolowski scores Fuerza Roja's first points of the season. He finishes ahead of Kubo and ahead of Sobel, who are in 9th and 10th positions, and those are the very first points for the Spanish team in Sunday League Virtual. Goose takes the fastest lap. It's Anti and Bluebell on the podium. Eurist, our winner last time, couldn't manage a podium today. Rito in 5th, who won here last season. Pit Crew, Hetmenica, EK in 8th place, 4 points for Fuerza Roja, Kubo, and then Sobel. Julo, Jake Brad, Spooder and Vladinato made up a good few positions there. Andres and Apple Amazing, Jaruni, Grandi, Kamikaze, and Hernandi is the rest of your order. That's all we've got today. I really hope you enjoyed a thrilling Italian Grand Prix. There's always drama with the battling, with the cars going side by side, and with very, very punishing runoffs at this track, and that is why it's been such a roaring success in the seasons that it's been in Sunday League Virtual. But that is it for this week. We've got the mid-season break coming up next week. No SLV action there, or action from any virtual leagues to allow me, Goose and Kubo to have a little bit of a rest. But after that, we'll be back for the first ever Polish Grand Prix, the home of the reigning champion. Until then, bye bye.